At 5:43 on a Tuesday morning, I woke up convinced I was dying. There was no dramatic realization, no flash of memories, just crushing pressure in the center of my chest, like someone had planted a knee against my ribs and leaned down with their full weight. I couldn't pull in a complete breath. My left arm felt heavy and strangely numb. Cold sweat soaked the collar of my nightshirt. I turned toward the man sleeping beside me. Vincent. Nothing. I grabbed his shoulder. Vincent, wake up. Something's wrong. He groaned and reached for his phone before he even looked at me. What? My chest hurts. Bad. That morning was Vincent's 48th birthday. Not just his birthday. The birthday. He'd spent 3 months planning a catered celebration for 75 guests. Private venue, matching decorations, custom cake, photographer, the works, and apparently my arteries hadn't checked his calendar. My name is Abigail Kinsella. I was 52 years old when this happened, and I'd been married to Vincent for 23 years. Do you need the hospital? He asked. I think I'm having a heart attack. He stared at me, then sighed. Seriously? Today? For a second, I thought the pain had made me hear him wrong. What? You've been stressed about my party. It's probably anxiety. Take some antacid and lie back down. I tried to stand. My legs collapsed. I crashed against the nightstand hard enough to knock the lamp onto the floor. That finally got Vincent moving. Not because he was frightened, because he was irritated. Oh, great. Abigail, we're supposed to be at the venue early. I was sitting on the floor, clutching my chest, while my husband complained about his birthday setup. Call 911. He did. His exact words were, My wife says she's having chest pains on my birthday. Even through the pain, I noticed those last 3 words. On my birthday. As though the dispatcher needed to understand who was actually being inconvenienced. The paramedics arrived quickly. The mood changed the moment they attached the EKG leads. One stared at the screen, then at his partner. ST elevation. After that, everyone moved fast. Oxygen. Aspirin. Questions. A stretcher. As they wheeled me through the front door, Vincent called after them. Can you guys hurry? My party starts at 2. One paramedic actually turned and stared at him. I didn't. Inside the ambulance, while someone adjusted my oxygen mask, I stared at the ceiling and thought about 23 years of marriage. When had Vincent become this person? Or had he always been this person, and I'd simply become very good at making excuses for him? At the hospital, they rushed me straight into cardiac care. 95% blockage. A widowmaker. The cardiologist later told me that if I'd listened to Vincent, taken antacid, and gone back to bed, I might never have woken up. They placed a stent. When I came around afterward, everything felt distant and blurry. Vincent sat near the window, staring at his phone. His face was tense. For one foolish second, relief washed through me. He'd been worried. Then he spoke. The caterer won't move the delivery. I blinked. What? The food's already prepared, and the venue won't refund us. This is a disaster. I was barely conscious. Sorry. He looked up. There were tears in his eyes, but they weren't tears of relief. They were angry tears. You ruined everything, Abigail. The nurse taking my blood pressure stopped. Vincent continued. Do you know how long I planned this? Everyone keeps asking where we are. I stared at him. My bad. That was all I could manage. My bad. For almost dying on his birthday. It's not just bad, he snapped. It's selfish. You couldn't have waited 1 day? The nurse slowly turned toward him. Sir, she can't control when an artery becomes blocked. Vincent frowned at her. I wasn't talking to you. Then he pointed toward me. Can she leave? Against medical advice? The party starts in 3 hours. The nurse's expression hardened. Your wife just had a coronary stent placed. Leaving now could kill her. Vincent grabbed his jacket. Fine. I'm going to salvage whatever I can. He looked at me from the doorway. Thanks for nothing, Abigail. And then my husband left the cardiac unit to attend his birthday party. The nurse stood there with her mouth slightly open. Finally, she said, I've worked here 20 years and I've never... Yeah, I closed my eyes. Me either. Except that wasn't entirely true. I'd seen pieces of this man for years. I'd just never seen all the pieces at once. Complications from one of my medications kept me hospitalized for several more days. Vincent visited twice. The first time, he complained that people were judging him for having the party without me. Everyone thinks I'm some terrible husband. Like I was supposed to throw away thousands of dollars because you had bad timing. The second time, he arrived holding an insurance statement. Your deductible is $5,000. I waited for him to say something else. He shook his head. There goes the vacation I wanted for my birthday. He never asked how frightened I'd been. Never asked what the cardiologist had said. Never asked if I was still in pain. $5,000. That number stayed with me. Hospitals give you a lot of time to think. They also have social workers. And social workers know attorneys. That's how estate attorney Eleanor Whitman walked into my hospital room 2 days later carrying a leather portfolio. I understand you'd like to revise your estate documents. Everything. My original will was simple. Vincent received almost everything. The house, retirement accounts, life insurance, most of my personal property. We had no children, and my estate was worth roughly $1.2 million. Eleanor opened her legal pad. Who gets the house? My nephew Garrett. Garrett was drowning in student loans, but he'd still driven 90 minutes to visit me the moment he heard what happened. My 401k goes to my sister Diana. Diana was raising 3 children alone after losing her husband. Since my heart attack, she'd called every morning and every evening. The life insurance goes to the Cardiac Rehabilitation Center. Eleanor looked up. And Vincent? $5,000? She paused. Exactly 5,000? Exactly! One eyebrow rose. May I ask why? So I told her. The party, the hospital, the deductible, and 23 years of little moments I'd spent convincing myself weren't important. When I finished, Eleanor folded her hands. Your husband could challenge this. Let him? And your healthcare proxy? Remove him. Put Diana there instead. She studied me for a moment. Anything else? I'm filing for divorce when I'm medically stable. That afternoon, everything was signed, witnessed, and notarized. For the first time in 23 years, Vincent no longer controlled what happened to me if I couldn't speak for myself. That evening, he arrived carrying balloons. Happy birthday. I figured since you ruined the actual day, we could celebrate now. He'd brought 1 cupcake. For himself. He lit a candle beside my cardiac monitor. Make a wish, I said. He smiled. Already did. What did you wish for? For you to get better so we can finally take that cruise I wanted. Of course. He ate his cupcake while scrolling through photos from the party. Look how awkward this one is. Everyone kept asking why you weren't there. I looked at the monitor beside my bed. The green line rose and fell steadily. Proof that I was still alive. Vincent didn't seem particularly impressed by it. Eventually, he left while complaining about the hospital parking fee. The nurse returned with my evening medication. She looked at the birthday balloons, then the cupcake wrapper, then at me. You okay? I thought about the question. Strangely, I was. I'm great. She raised an eyebrow. I looked toward the empty doorway where my husband had disappeared. Actually, I think this might be the best I've felt in years. Because surviving the heart attack hadn't fixed my heart, but it had done something almost as important. It had cleared my vision, and once I finally saw my marriage clearly, there was no going back. I was discharged several days later. Diana picked me up. Vincent couldn't. He had Pilates. Apparently, the class was difficult to book, and missing it because his wife had just survived a heart attack would have been unreasonable. Fine by me. His absence gave me time to start looking at our marriage without him standing over my shoulder. My attorney had warned me that suddenly changing an estate plan after 23 years of marriage could invite questions. So I started documenting everything. 3 years of credit card statements came first. Vincent's birthday parties, trips with his friends, designer clothes, restaurants, spa weekends, shopping, nearly $68,000. Then I looked at what he'd spent on my birthdays during those same years, Amazon gift cards. Total value, $150. It wasn't about the money. It was about the pattern. Even our anniversary trips had been charged, mostly to my cards, and planned around places Vincent wanted to visit. Then I found the messages. Hundreds of them. Vincent complaining to friends about my boring job, the same job that funded most of his lifestyle. Jokes about how I worried too much about retirement. Complaints that my gifts weren't expensive enough to post online. But one group chat stopped me cold. It had been active while I was in surgery. Vincent. Of course Abigail had to make today about her, one friend replied. Is she okay, though? Vincent answered. She's fine. Doctors are dramatic. Meanwhile, my party is ruined. Another message followed. Vincent? Seriously? His response? I'm the victim here. I stared at those words for a long time. Then I took screenshots. Every single one. When I got home, I discovered Vincent had been busy too. The living room looked completely different. New couch, new artwork, new coffee table. Like it? He asked proudly. I figured while you were gone, I might as well refresh things. How much? The couch was $3,000. Then he smiled. I used your card. Mine was maxed. A month earlier, I probably would have argued. Instead, I simply said, it's nice. His entire body relaxed. He thought nothing had changed. Oh, and I booked us a couples massage tomorrow. You probably need it after the hospital. I can't. His smile disappeared. Why? Cardiac rehab starts tomorrow. Skip it. I stared at him. The massage is more important. We need to reconnect after everything you put me through. Everything I put him through. By almost dying. No, I'm going to rehab. Vincent actually pouted. You're being selfish again. There was that word. Selfish. Apparently, staying alive qualified now. The next morning, while Vincent was at hot yoga, I met with divorce attorney Timothy Morrison. 30 years of family law had given him the kind of expression that suggested very little surprised him anymore. Then I showed him Vincent's messages. Tim read them twice. He complained that your heart attack ruined his birthday, while I was still connected to monitors. And you've already updated your estate plan? Yes. He leaned back. Good. Our state followed no-fault divorce rules. Vincent would still be entitled to his lawful share of marital assets. I wasn't trying to hide money from him. I wasn't trying to leave him homeless. I simply wanted out. And I wanted my future to stop financing someone who treated my survival like an inconvenience. When do you want to file? Tim asked. I thought about Vincent's birthday. His next birthday is in 51 weeks. Tim stared at me. That's a long time. I know. Then he understood. A smile flickered across his face. You want to do it on his birthday? I want one more birthday story. But first, I had to get healthy. Cardiac rehab became the one place where Vincent's voice couldn't follow me. Week after week, I got stronger. I lost 15 pounds. My energy returned. I started meal prepping and actually followed the cardiologist's recommendations. Vincent hated it. You're becoming obsessed with this health stuff. This from a man who exercised 6 days a week. One evening, I opened the refrigerator and discovered my prepared meals were gone. Where's my food? I threw it out. What? It was cluttering the refrigerator. Those meals had taken me nearly 3 hours to prepare. You knew I needed those. He rolled his eyes. You can make more. I documented that too. I documented him telling friends I was no fun anymore because my medications limited alcohol. I documented him telling his father I was exaggerating my dietary restrictions. He bought a treadmill, then complained when I actually used it early in the morning. Every little thing went into a folder. Not because I needed revenge, because for the first time, I needed proof that I hadn't imagined the last 23 years. Then Marissa called. She'd been one of our mutual friends for more than a decade. Abigail, I need to tell you something about Vincent's birthday. I already knew I wasn't going to like it. The party? Yeah. She hesitated. He gave a speech. About what? You... I tightened my grip on the phone. He talked about how strong he'd been dealing with your situation. How brave he was for continuing with his birthday despite everything. I said nothing. Then Marissa's voice dropped. He called your heart attack attention-seeking. That one landed differently. Those exact words? Yes. She exhaled. People left, Abigail. Some of them actually walked out during his speech. I closed my eyes. Vincent had told me everyone thought I was the problem. That wasn't true. Why are you telling me? Because somebody should. A pause. Are you okay? I looked around my kitchen, at the medication organizer, at the folder of documents, at the meals I'd prepared again, after Vincent threw out the first batch. Better than I've been in years, and I meant it. I started reconnecting with people I'd slowly lost contact with. Old coworkers, college friends, people Vincent had dismissed as boring, negative, or beneath us. My college roommate Jerome nearly shouted when he heard my voice. Abigail, we've been trying to get you out with us for years. What do you mean? Every time we invited you somewhere, Vincent said you were busy. My stomach tightened. Sometimes I hadn't even known about the invitations. He isolated you, Jerome said quietly. I wanted to argue. Instead, I realized I couldn't. Once I recognized the pattern, I saw it everywhere. Meanwhile, Vincent was planning his 49th birthday. And apparently surviving my heart attack had been traumatic enough that he deserved something enormous. I'm thinking yacht, he announced one evening. I looked up from my dinner. A yacht? Maybe a weekend cruise. Something really memorable. He grinned. I deserve it after last year's disaster. Last year's disaster. Not my heart attack. His ruined party. You'll be completely better by then, right? He asked. Absolutely. I smiled. I'll be much better. He missed the meaning entirely. Good. Then, for a second, I simply stared at him. Then I laughed too. Vincent thought I was laughing with him. I wasn't. Because by then, the divorce papers were being prepared. My estate documents were secured. My finances were organized. And Tim knew exactly what I wanted. Vincent wanted his 49th birthday to be unforgettable. A yacht, 100 guests, the best catering in the city, a professional photographer. I decided he should have every single thing he wanted, because after 23 years of marriage, I was finally going to give my husband the perfect birthday. I just wasn't going to tell him how it ended. Vincent's 49th birthday arrived almost a year after my heart attack. The yacht party was everything he'd dreamed about. Nearly 100 guests, expensive catering, professional photographer, designer suit, champagne flowing under strings of warm lights, and I paid for it. I smiled for every photograph. When it was time for speeches, I raised my glass. Last year taught me that life can change without warning. So here's to second chances and learning not to waste them. Everyone applauded. Vincent beamed. He probably thought I'd finally learned my lesson about ruining birthdays. The party ended at 10. By 10, 15, almost everyone was gone. Only Vincent, me, a few staff members, and one woman waiting near the marina remained. Vincent was still holding a champagne glass when she approached. Mr. Kinsella? He turned. Yes? You've been served. She handed him an envelope. His smile disappeared. What is this? He tore it open beneath the marina lights. Divorce papers. Then he found the copy I'd included, of my updated estate plan. Tim had told me I wasn't required to show it to him. I wanted to. Vincent's eyes raced across the pages. Then he found the number. $5,000? His voice cracked. $5,000 after 23 years? Same as my hospital deductible. He stared at me. The amount bothered you so much that I thought it seemed appropriate. You can't do this. I'm your husband. You left your wife in cardiac care to attend a birthday party. That was different. I couldn't cancel everything. The process server quietly took a step backward. Vincent pointed at the papers. This is about that stupid heart attack, isn't it? You're still holding a grudge. No. I shook my head. It's about clarity. You showed me who you were, Vincent. I finally believed you. His champagne glass hit the dock and shattered. Security started toward us. I'll take everything in the divorce. You'll receive whatever you're legally entitled to. His breathing became ragged. But the house? Your retirement accounts? That's supposed to be mine. It was. That seemed to hurt more than the divorce papers. Vincent started shouting about lawyers, betrayal, and fairness. Then came the sentence I'd been expecting. You ruined my birthday! I almost laughed. I waited until the party was over. Specifically. So you couldn't accuse me of bad timing again. Marina Security reached us. Vincent looked at me as though he were seeing a stranger. You planned this? Since the hospital. His face went pale. Since you complained that my heart attack ruined your birthday, I'd already arranged an Uber because I knew he wouldn't be in any condition to drive. As security escorted him toward it, he twisted around. I hope you have another heart attack. One of the security officers stopped. Sir, that's enough. Then Vincent disappeared into the car, and for the first time in 23 years, I watched him leave without wondering how I could make him come back. The following week was chaos. Vincent moved in with his father. His family called me heartless. His attorney threatened to challenge everything possible. Tim and Eleanor handled it. I stopped arguing, stopped explaining, stopped defending the decision to save myself. The divorce proceeded according to the law, and Vincent would receive his lawful share of our marital assets. He wasn't being left penniless. He simply wasn't inheriting the future he'd assumed belonged to him. Garrett couldn't believe I designated the house to him. Aunt Abigail, I can't accept something like that. You came to the hospital. Of course I did. Exactly. Diana cried when I told her about the retirement designation. You need that money yourself. What I need is family who gives a damn whether I'm alive. My health kept improving too. 35 pounds gone. Cardiac rehabilitation eventually graduated me to regular exercise. But the biggest change wasn't physical. I started therapy. Real therapy. For 23 years, I'd thought emotional abuse had to be dramatic to count. It didn't. Sometimes it looked like jokes at your expense. Sometimes it looked like isolation disguised as protecting you from bad friends. Sometimes it was spending your money while criticizing how you earned it. Sometimes it was teaching you, slowly, that every need you had was selfish. And sometimes it was your husband looking at you after emergency heart surgery and asking what your survival was going to cost him. Vincent kept contacting me from different numbers. I blocked them. The messages always followed the same pattern. I was cruel. He was the victim. I'd wasted 23 years. Everyone supposedly hated me. Eventually, I stopped reading them. I also met someone during rehabilitation. His name was Patrick. He'd spent years caring for his late wife through cancer, and he understood something Vincent apparently never had. Love isn't measured by parties, vacations, or photographs. It's measured by who stays when life becomes inconvenient. Patrick and I became friends. Nothing more. I wasn't interested in replacing one relationship with another. For once, I wanted to learn what my own life felt like. The Cardiac Rehabilitation Center later contacted me about my estate designation. Someone jokingly suggested that if the donation ever became reality, hopefully many decades from now, they could name something after me. The Abigail Kinsella Second Chance Center, I said. It had a nice sound to it. Because that's what the heart attack gave me. Not revenge. A second chance. Vincent valued his birthday more than my heartbeat. I gave him one birthday he'd never forget. But the real victory wasn't watching him get served beneath the marina lights. It was waking up afterward and realizing I no longer needed his approval. My heart is stronger now, so is everything else. Vincent's next birthday? Not my problem. I hear he's already talking about another party. I hope the weather cooperates. Wouldn't want bad timing to ruin it. Sometimes a heart attack is exactly what it sounds like. A terrifying medical emergency that nearly kills you. And sometimes, if you're lucky enough to survive it, you discover something waiting on the other side. The truth. Because heart attacks aren't the only things that can kill you slowly. Sometimes it's the person sleeping next to you,